This is Dr. Javaid. Welcome to Doc on Mission, where we believe knowledge plus action equals success. So question to everybody, how are your New Year's resolution goals going? Raise your hands if they're going well. Guess what? Raise your hands if they're broken. Anyway, 80 to 90% of the New Year's resolution goals are generally broken within first month. So why we're talking about it 3 months into the year? I think this is the ideal time where we could look back and say, okay, what New Year's commitment we made and how many are being put through and how many are falling apart and what can be done. So in this video, we'll talk about some tips how to tackle this flaw that we always make commitments and we never follow through the year. So here my take on this is make one goal a year and build on it. It's like a building block. Yes, don't panic that you need to do 5 goals, 10 goals at a time. That's why it falls apart. And the key goal that I feel here is time management. So join me in this video learning about time management and how to fulfill your New Year's resolution. So before we dive into the subject, let's step back and look at two different things: willpower and habits. Both are equally important in order to achieve our long-term goals. Willpower is absolutely necessary to kickstart to our vision or goal. And then you need habits to sustain it. So the way we could look at this is willpower is very strong in the beginning, but with time it runs off steam. And we see this in our day-to-day life. For example, someone who smokes and trying to quit smoking, right? And one day they'll get tired of it and they'll just break the cigarettes or pack, throw it away and say, that's it, no more. Yes, there are small population of people that can do this, go cold turkey, but majority of them can't. What happens is they'll go smoke free, or they'll say they quit sometimes for a week, a month, 2 months, and then slowly not even realizing that you go back to your routine of number of cigarettes a day. The reason it happens is because when you made that commitment, you had a very strong will, and that will got you through whether it was a week, a month, or 2 months, and then eventually that willpower runs out of steam and a person goes back in smoking. And it's not just smokers, we see this in anybody else too. For example, someone who's trying to lose weight, someone who's trying to eat healthy, someone who's trying to start a business, someone who's trying to make more money, or many other things for that sake. So that's willpower. Now habits don't help in the beginning because it takes a long time to build them, to build all those nerves or electrical circuits in the brain, right? This is where willpower is bridging while you make those strong circuits in the brain. So habits is something you constantly keep building to a point it becomes second nature. Now the willpower will fade off and habits will pick up more and get you through this and becomes permanent. So that said about willpower and habit, so let's dive into this subject. Why only one habit to focus first? It's better to concentrate and develop one habit than spreading yourself too thin into 4, 5, 6 different, achieve none, right? Too many goals on New Year's resolution are not practical to achieve. That's why 80 to 90% of them fail within first month. So most important here is to create a milestone habit, a habit that would change future habits and future goals for you, right? So we call it a milestone habit, and you're going to pay 100% focus on developing this milestone habit. For someone, it could be getting up early. For someone, it could be quitting smoking. For someone, it could be reading a book. For someone, it could be taking 15 minutes out and doing meditation, and so on. And remember to practice this habit in correct fashion until you perfect it. Practicing something wrong will become permanent in a wrong way. So it's key thing to do is to practice, but practice in the right way. Once you achieve mastery in it, it will assist you in achieving your second milestone habit, and you can develop that based on what you need and then focus 100% on it, and this is what's laying your foundation. Eventually your brain and yourself would get so trained to it that developing these new good habits, I should say, would be a lot easier. Bad habits are developed the same way, but we need to recognize and push them out of life. Now, as far as time management, to me, this was most important milestone habit for many of us, because that's where a lot of time is lost in these days with so much technology around us that we don't even realize where the day goes by, whether we're browsing on social media or we're watching our favorite shows, or anything. Time management is such a broad topic that it's been described in hundreds of different ways of achieving it, and it may be different for each one. My favorite comes from author Stephen Covey. His book titled 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talks about a habit number 3, first thing first. I think it really simplifies how to make time management practical for day to day for an average person like us. So let's dive into this topic. Basically, Stephen Covey breaks it down into quadrant. And first we need to understand a terminology where he describes it as important, non-important, urgent, and non-urgent. Important are responsibilities contribute to the achievement of your goal, which are usually long-term visions, long-term goals. Urgent require immediate attention. These activities are often tightly linked to accomplishment of someone else's goal. Not dealing with these issues will cause immediate consequences. So he breaks it out into 4 quadrants, as we see on the screen: important and urgent. This is quadrant 1. Important deadlines and highly urgent stuff. Anything that falls into this quadrant requires immediate action. Some of the example is PowerPoint presentation is due, a bill is due that needs to be paid, and so on. And then a second quadrant here talks about things that are important but non-urgent. This is the key quadrant to learn, because this is where you want to spend maximum of your time, whether you're talking about a day, a week, a month, or your lifetime. This is where long-term development and strategizing occurs. This is where you build relationships. This is where your long-term goals will be achieved by spending more time here. For example, spend more time building relationship with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your business partners, networking. A lot of stuff comes here because none of this stuff is urgent, but it's important to build that on it. And there's a third quadrant here called non-important but urgent. These are the things that are generally urgent to be done, but they're not important to your goal, right? These could act as distraction because there's urgency, they require attention, but they don't serve importance to your goal. So the best thing here is to minimize your time spent here, and the best thing to do is delegate this to somebody else. For example, you get a phone call and someone says, hey, can you help me do this project? And now you have to go and research and do something to help that person on project that may not be important to you. And best thing you could hear and say, hey, hold on, I'm not expert at it. It may take me too much time to learn about it. Why don't I connect you with this person so they can help you with, and this way frees your time so you can go back to your quadrant 2, which is important and non-urgent. And then there's a quadrant 4. This is where many of us spend most of the time here, not even realizing it. And that's why time is lost and productivity is decreased. So this is where little to no value is created. This can be a waste of time, and consider avoiding this on regular basis. I mean, run away. What are these some common things? Watching televisions and catching up on shows and binge watching a show. Not that TV is wrong, it's bad. You need that to de-stress. That can be part of quadrant 2, where you're watching something on regular basis that just sort of kind of kick back and puts back, but actually doesn't interfere with anything else. But anytime you're spending time watching TV shows and putting away a lot of other things, and then all of a sudden last minute you have to get those things done, that means you were spending a lot of time in quadrant 4. Other ways to do this is maybe browsing through a website, looking at different things, jumping from one topic to one topic, or even sometimes YouTubers. As we're watching YouTube, we're watching time management, and 3 hours later you think you'll be somewhere at entire different topic, learning about maybe how to solve this, or what happened to that car crash, or I don't know. So that's where the time is lost. So once again, let's sum this up. Basically, one goal at a time, put your 100% focus, start with a strong willpower, try to create habits, because willpower will eventually run out of steam. And as you create habits, it will become stronger and become your second nature, and then time to develop a second milestone habit. In terms of picking one example, mine is time management. I'm following Stephen Covey's book of 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit number 3, put first thing first, understand what is important, understand what is urgent, understand what is non-urgent, understand what is non-important. Every time you're doing something, look at that quadrant, keep practicing. Eventually it will become second nature, and then you'll be doing this in day-to-day life, and hopefully it gives you more productive. That ends our video. Thank you so much. I hope you find this video helpful. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.